Grenada establishing legal framework for credit reporting.
If you have a very high credit score, you could be charged a different rate. You could be charged a different interest rate because the risk is less.
Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the National Report, I'm Leslie Ann Johnson Cornwall. Grenada is moving to become part of a harmonized system in the OECS for credit reporting. The Credit Reporting Bill 2017, which was passed during Friday's meeting of the House of Representatives, seeks to establish the legal framework for credit reporting. The plan is to ensure objective credit decisions, to enable credit information sharing and reporting, and to provide for the regulation of the conduct of credit reporting and credit reporting services. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank will have a critical role to play in regulating and supervising permissible activities of credit bureaus and credit information providers. It will also be responsible for protecting the integrity of the credit reporting system in Grenada against abuses. The bill was brought before the House by Minister Oliver Joseph, who spoke to the benefits of the credit assessment process.
If you have a very high credit score, you could be charged a different rate. You could be charged a different interest rate because the risk is less. So the financial institutions under this act could now apply different conditions to you after you get this credit score from this credit bureau. Now, conversely, if somebody have a very low credit score, it might be very difficult, or they might have to pay a higher rate. Whereas now, in the OECS, we do not have credit bureau, so we do not get any credit rating. I recall in the doing business ranking, that is one of the issues that was raised with me when they talk about the ease of access to finance. And the consultants from the World Bank say, well, that perhaps because you don't have credit bureaus, so it's difficult to get a credit score. So if you go, what exists now in Grenada, you go to one bank to ask for a loan, and then they call the other banks to find out if you're alone with them. What will happen now under this act in the OECS is that they will call the credit bureau, and the financial institution will have to provide information to the credit bureau to give you a score.
Giving support to the bill, Works Minister the Honorable Gregory Bowen says it is now necessary to educate the public on how they might be affected.
I recommend and support the bill and do ask the cooperation of the financial institutions to help with the operationalization and implementation, particularly with respect to those smaller economic persons who will be coming for loans and who will face greater problems at this point in time.
And Health Minister Nicholas Steele also threw his support behind the bill, noting that the harmonization of the bill in the OECS will improve the creditworthiness of member countries and improve their doing business ranking.
This bill is very significant with respect to the doing business ranking. Doing business ranking has consistently taken into consideration the ease of getting credit or getting credit. And countries are ranked, regions are ranked, and the OECS as a whole, not just Grenada, has scored 0 consistently since the inception of this ranking on depth of credit information, credit registry coverage, and a credit bureau coverage, because such legislation did not exist, and therefore credit bureaus do not exist in the entire OECS. The passage of this law on its own does not affect the doing business ranking until there is the existence of credit bureaus. But it is the first step in making that positive difference to this, Mr. Speaker.
Grenada has recorded 189 reported cases of child sexual abuse so far in 2017, figures that officials say are outrageously alarming. But Inspector Erilyn Garraway of the Royal Grenada Police Force and member of the Child Sexual Abuse Prevention Subcommittee says based on reports from communities, the figures could be higher. Addressing the weekly post-cabinet briefing on Tuesday, she said the force is concerned that many of these crimes go unreported.
There is this problem where we having that the reports are not being made to the police for whatever reason. we don't know. So there is a law that says that there's supposed to be mandatory reporting. So with this, bearing this in mind, we ask you to come forward and make all reports to the police so the matters can be investigated and be dealt with, so that we can do something for our children.
Inspector Garraway says they are keen on lessening the opportunity for the perpetrators to abuse children.
We cannot take away the intention or the desire from the perpetrator, but we can take away the opportunity. So bearing this in mind, we urge parents out there and guardians to take their responsibility seriously and do not let the perpetrators have the opportunity to interfere with the children.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Child Protection Authority, Ann David Antwine, said in the midst of all the recent reports relating to child sexual abuse, it is important to provide the affected children with a safe place to call home. The CPA is making a call for persons interested in foster care and counseling the children to come forward.
We want to put out a call to members of the public to be involved. The Child Protection Authority is constantly looking for competent, able, loving and caring foster parents. We are looking always for people who would be advocates in this work. We are looking for people who have counseling skills and who are willing to offer to be part of the system in a paid or unpaid manner. Well, payment is always there. It may not always be in cash, but it can be in kind, from the satisfaction that one will get from supporting and, in fact, counseling and just being a helper to a child who is in distress.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The house was shaking. Then said the story here, babe. Crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Trade unions in Grenada are calling on government to do more to boost the agriculture sector. Representatives from the various unions met at the Ministry of Finance on Tuesday as the round of consultations continues in preparation for presentation of the 2018 budget. Trade union representative Andrew Augustine spoke of the need for more to be done to tackle predial larceny in particular.
The farmer would like to know that has the assurance that when he plants his crop and wait be it 3 months or 6 months, that his crop is assured and nobody wouldn't harvest his crop instead of him. And at the same time, with the emphasis that we place upon food security, it's important that we invest heavily, see more heavy investment in agriculture. And really, the success stories in agriculture, if the government, invests more in agriculture, would encourage young persons to get more into agriculture. Because if you for example, see a farmer who's successful, then you'd want to emulate that. If you see a farmer who has been stressed out by people always stealing his crops, definitely that would not be an encouragement for you to get into.
Augustine hopes at least some of the recommendations they have made will be incorporated into the budget.
A lot of the areas that we talked about in terms of having persons gainfully employed, and because gainful employment is part that would stimulate the economy, less contract employment. Persons could go and take a loan and build their homes, and we see more activity within the economy. There are a number of things that we mentioned that we think that would help to stimulate the economy and make it a better place. Overall, it was open and frank discussions, and we look forward to some of the changes that we recommended, some of the stuff that we gave, seen it implemented. We look forward to that from a trade union movement perspective.
And that's the National Report. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson, Cornwall.